Is what is the theme of World Water Day 2025? Okay, so clean oceans, safe drinking water, glacier preservation, and water recycling. So you can post your answers in the comment box. So by the end of the session, we'll be discussing this particular question. Okay, all right. So this is our self-study plan, 110-day self-study plan we have created for UPSC aspirants who are attempting the 2025 examination. So here you can see one QR code is it. So you can click on that, you can scan that QR code, you can download our app, and in that you will get the self-study plan and start preparing for your examination. Okay, all right. So again, we have two important products. One is a 1-year prelims comes mains integrated course. So this is for the aspirants who are aiming the 2026 examination, and also we have the 2-year prelims comes mains integrated course. This is for the aspirants who are aiming the 2027 examination. So we'll have 1000 plus hours of classes, 800 plus hours of GS class will be there, and also 200 plus hours of current affairs class will also be provided. Okay, all right. So this is the overview of our classes, 800 plus hours of GS and CSAT, and also we'll have 200 plus hours of current affairs classes. So we'll have strategic micro schedule will be provided so that you can easily break up the UPSC syllabus, and also we'll have expert faculty for all the subjects, and obviously training is testing is also very much important for your preparation. So we'll have regular testing for both mains as well as prelims. We'll have test series also. Okay, all right. So these are the 4 topics which I have taken for today's daily news analysis. So first one is related to the Parliament's role in the budgetary system. Okay, so it seems like the Parliament's role in the budgeting is drying up. So what's going on with the India's top legislative body? We'll be discussing in this particular article. So we'll be discussing it in a comprehensive way so that it will be you can cover it for your mains preparation. Okay, next one is related to IORA, the organization IORA. So India is going to get the chairmanship of this IORA. So it will be IORA will be in India's hand. So we have to see whether India will be able to steer this regional ship or will it drift off the course. So we'll also be discussing this particular topic. Okay, the next one is related to the NIRF ranking. NIRF ranking. So we'll be discussing what is this NIRF ranking. Recently this Madras High Court. So they said to pause this NIRF to 2025. So we'll be discussing what is this NIRF, what are the issues related to NIRF, what are the alternative systems, all those things we'll be discussing here. Okay, and finally last on the food front, we'll be discussing the GM crops. Okay, GM crops. So GM crops may finally be going to get a new policy based on the court order. So we'll be discussing what are these GM crops, what is the policy, what are the issues related with some of the examples, some of the GM crops also we'll be discussing in this particular session. Okay. All right, moving on to first article. Again, this is saying that the parliament's role in role in the budgeting process is very much limited. Okay, so that is what UPSC CSE 2018. A similar question can be asked in based on this particular topic also. Okay, all right. So we'll see what are the issues which are highlighted by this article. Okay, what is the real problem which we are having? So the union budget is supposed to reflect the will of the people. Why? Because we are electing the legislator and we are allowing them to make the government to implement the will of the people only. But the people's representative means our MPs will be there. They are part of the legislature. So our legislature, the MPs, they had very little say in how this is made. Okay, so let me give you 3 important key facts regarding this. One, the parliament does not help in drafting the budget. Okay, so who will be drafting the budget? It is actually the finance ministry who is preparing the budget. Okay, so it's in the ministerial level or it's in the executive level which the budget preparation is happening, and the legislatures have no say while preparing the budget. I'm not saying that they don't have any say in the entire process of the budget, but during the preparation phase of the budget, the legislatures are mostly overlooked. MPs can debate it, but cannot make any changes or any major tax or expenditure proposal. They cannot have any say in this. Okay, and that also only the Lok Sabha odds on demand of grants, and even the voting is also usually rushed. Okay, for example, many times the entire provisions of the budget has been discussed. You cannot say discussed, but still they have been shown and they have been put to vote, and the entire process has been completed in 2 or 3 hours itself. Okay, and we have one more body is also there, that is Rajya Sabha is also there. So what is Rajya Sabha doing? Even Lok Sabha is also not having much role. That's what even the parliament itself is not having much role. Even Lok Sabha is the only powerful body in the both houses. Okay, so what is Rajya Sabha doing? Rajya Sabha can only discuss the budget. And it has zero voting power in this financial matters also. Okay, so that is also making Rajya Sabha even weaker while coming to the budget or maybe in the entire parliamentary process itself. Okay, so there was a statistics related to this 2022 the parliament PRS was it. So in that time the parliament even passed all the 90 demands of grass without even discussion, and the entire process took only 30 minutes. So 30 minutes to discuss the entire 99 demands of grant. So what is discussion? No discussion is happening, only the process is continuing. Okay, so somehow that is continuing, and that is what makes the role of parliament very much limited. Okay, so who actually prepares budget? I've already mentioned that. Who is preparing the budget? It is a finance ministry who is actually preparing the budget. Okay, finance ministry is preparing the budget. So ministry has nothing to do with the legislature. Okay, even though they are getting elected and they are making the government. So we have the separation of powers. We have something known as separation of powers. Okay, so what are the three important power centers we are having? One is a legislature, another one is a executive, and we have the judiciary also. Okay, so we have legislature, we have executive, we have judiciary. So what do you mean by separation of powers? So separation of powers means the powers has to be separated, right? Okay, so legislature has to work independently, executive has to work independently, judiciary has to work independently. Anyway, this judiciary is, as of now, this judiciary is working independently only. Judges have nothing to do with we cannot say nothing to do with, but still judges are not part of this lawmaking process and all. But if we take this executive and legislature, we are following a parliamentary form of government. Okay, so we'll be electing this legislature, MPs. So whoever is getting the majority, they will be part of the executive. So they will be creating the government. Okay, so this is actually the executive who is speaking. Even though the finance minister, even though the prime minister, who are all part of the parliament, they are actually in the capacity of the executive only. Okay, so that's why I said finance ministry is the one who is preparing the budget, and in this entire process the MPs or the member of parliaments are not considered. But who is considered? It is actually the Department of Economic Affairs who is handling all these things. But still some consultations are happening, but that is not with the elected MPs. That's not with the elected MPs. Mostly they'll be having discussions with the think tanks. For example, we have Nidhi Aayog is there, we have experts from RBI is there, and some other selected economics as well as technocrats will also be part of it. So basically, this is something which is the discussions are only happening in the high level. Okay, and also there is no formal or no institutional consultation mechanism also. No institutional consultation mechanism. In some other countries, we have institutional consultation mechanisms. Other we'll be discussing that also, but here that is also absent. Okay, so there is no pre-budget engagement of the members. No pre-budget engagement of the members of parliament. Okay, and lack of independent research support is also there. There is no body, there is no individual body. Even though we are consulting different people, different organizations, there is no independent research support body. Okay, so that is also one of the important issues we are actually facing. Okay, and you might have heard regarding the halwa ceremony also. Okay, so in the budget is prepared in a complete secrecy. So for that only this halwa ceremony is also happening. So when the printing starts, then only people will be knowing that okay, this is going to start. Okay, so that is announced by the halwa ceremony, but till then everything is secret only. Okay, the government is saying that the secrecy should be there. Okay, the budget document should not be leaked and all these things are said, but still anyway the halwa ceremony is showing that this budget which has to reflect the will of the people, that is something which is conducted in a very secret manner. Okay, so it is excluding the public or even the parliamentary output also. So why this problem? Why this problem is happening? Okay, So why this problem? We'll discuss some of the important problems which are causing this. So one, the disconnected policies. Disconnected policies. So budgets are made without any direct feedback from the people's representatives. So that is one thing. So disconnected. So what the people want, the MPs will be saying that the MPs are the voice of the people, right? So they are completely disconnected. So policies will also be completely disconnected, or maybe the MPs who are part of the executive will also have a say in this. So and also mostly the budget will be having a one size fits all scheme. One size fits all schemes, okay, especially the smaller states will be there, right? States and also some state will be having diverse needs will be there. For example, northeastern state, they'll be having some tribal demands will be there, tribal belts will be there. So if you are giving the same scheme which is provided for a coastal state to the hilly northeastern state, that won't be helpful. Again, this is also one of the major issues our budget is having, okay. So that is also there. And another important thing, the capex. There are many of the important schemes, capex scheme and many other schemes, they are being passed without any discussion itself. Okay, recently you can see the recent example, the capex scheme. So that is also there. And also there is no real-time data support. There is no real-time data support for the MPs. They don't have any, we don't have any something like the parliamentary budget office. Parliamentary budget office means like many other democracies, MPs are expected to analyze this complex budget documents, okay. And even they will also be given expert staff will also be there. Why? Because the MPs won't be knowing all this financial thing. They know the will of the people. They know the will of the people, but the technical things they won't be knowing. So what they have to do is the people have to give what the demands to the MPs. The MPs has to discuss with an expert staff. Again, this expert staff should convey it to the higher executive. For example, like the finance minister, that people. So this should be the ideal process. So this is not happening. Even the former finance secretary Subhash Gar said most of the MPs only see budget speeches. Budget speech, which means the 600-page document will be there. Okay, they just see they just came through it and they don't know what exactly is happening. Also, this is also one of the important issues we are having. Okay, and also no time for debate. Also, no time for this budget debates. Also, because our parliament system works in a very time constrained way only. We have the monsoon session, we have the budget session, we have the winter session, and also everything is time constrained. Somehow we have to show that we are discussing and we have to wind up that thing. Okay, so that's also there. In the recent years, if you take less than 10% of the total budget proposal actually discussed, but all of them were passed. Okay, so no discussion, all of them were passed. Okay, so this is also one of the important things. In 2021, the budget demands were 20 lakh crore. 20 lakh crore were passed without any debate. Without any debate. So this is something which affects all the people. All the people, and we are electing these MPs. We are electing these MPs to would reflect our wills. Okay, so that is being passed without any debate. So that is something which is a shame on our democracy also. Okay, so here we can see that it's actually an executive overreach. Whatever the government wants, that is only being done. Okay, completely an executive. Our Indian budget is a completely an executive driven what process, unlike many of the other countries. Okay, so ultimately all the power rules and powers that is being given by the Constitution of India. So we'll see what the Constitution has to say regarding this particular issue. Okay, so the Constitution, according to Article 112, it's a very important prelims related fact. According to Article 112, so Article 112 is mentioning the union budget. So union budget, we call it as technically we call it as a annual financial statement. We call it as an annual financial statement. Okay, so Article 112 is saying Article 112 defines the annual financial statement, which has to be passed which has to be laid down on the table every year. Okay, and also another important article is Article 113. 113, Parliament votes on the grants. Okay, voting on grants. This is something which allocates some money to the process. Okay, voting on the grant. So that is mentioned in Article 113. 3. Okay, finally, there is something known as appropriation bill is there. Okay, so Article 114 mentions regarding the appropriation bill. So, appropriation bill is necessary for withdrawing. Appropriation bill is necessary for withdrawing the money from the government exchequer. Okay, so this is also very important article. And finally, we have uh, Article 115 to 170. So that deals with the other grants are also. For example, supplementary grants are there, even excess grants are there. So all these things are there. Okay, so what is the problem here? Parliament can only accept it. Either they can accept it or they can reject it. They cannot amend many of the things. Okay, it's not like other bills. For example, this will be mostly dealing with the money bills only. So they cannot amend the money bills according to Article 110. According to Article 110, so this is dealing with the money bill. Okay, so Article 110 is dealing with the money bill. Only Lok Sabha has the power to do something regarding money bill, and that also is very much limited, which means Rajya Sabha has no role in the case of a money bill. Okay, so that is also one of the important. So coming to budget, even the parliament itself is having very less powers. Okay, MPs, elected MPs are having very less powers. In that, Rajya Sabha is having almost zero role in this process. Okay, all right, now you might ask, don't we have some committees regarding this? So that overseeing this, we should be having some committees, right? Some scrutiny should be happening. Okay, so entire point is like, while the preparation of the budget, these MPs are not consulted. Okay, actually what we are doing is some sort of a post-mortem work. Okay, already we have done something. So even after this, EAG will also be coming. So after that only this budget committees will be coming. Okay, all right. So we'll see what are these important committees. One is a public accounts committee. So public accounts committee, what they will be doing, the CAG will be coming. So CAG will be coming, and Controller and Auditor General of India. So he will be coming and he will be checking whether all these things are done. He audits the entire budget, and after that the past government spending will also be considered. And finally, this public accounts committee, they will be reviewing the CAG report. Okay, this public accounts committee, they will be reviewing the CAG report. Okay, so this is something which is done by the public accounts committee. Okay, not going into the political part like the composition of this public accounts committee and all. I'm not going into it. This is mostly focusing on the economy part of this budget. Okay, so after that we have the estimates committee. So this estimate committee, they will be suggesting the ways. They will be suggesting the ways on how how to reduce this wastage, and maybe how to make the spending better. Okay, so to ways to improve the economy and how the efficiency of these government programs can be improved. So this will be suggested by the estimates committee. Okay, and finally one more committee is that is a department standing committee. These are the department standing committee. So they will be analyzing the budget proposal. So each ministry will be having a committee will be there. So each ministry will be, so this is ministry based. So this is ministry based. Okay, so these ministries will be there. Okay, so these ministries budget proposal from each ministry will be analyzed by this department standing committee. Okay, but yeah, another issue is also there. These committees get budget documents after the budget is tabled. So after the entire budget is tabled, only these committees can step into practice. Okay, so that they cannot. The point is they cannot decide, influence the decisions. They cannot influence any of these decisions. Okay, so what they can do, they can just do a post-mortem work. So this is the issue here, and also these people are also not having much expertise. They are all lawmakers only. They are all MPs only. So they need more expertise in scrutiny. Sometimes it will go into political way also. So that is also one of the major issues we are having. Okay, they don't have any dedicated economists, or they don't have any budget analyst to do all these things. Okay, and even the reports, whatever the suggestion they are giving, that is also not binding. The executive can completely ignore all these things. Maybe they can go to the court and maybe they can raise it in a political way and all. But other than that, it's really difficult to take up this case. Okay, all right. So this is actually the problem with the uh, committees. What is the problem with the committee? So again, in the recent time period, we can actually see a lot of examples related to this. For example, many massive schemes were there. One was the PM Gati Shakti. One was a PM PM Gadi Shakti, it was on the news a lot of time, and capex investment scheme was also. All these things are worth lakhs of crores. So they were passed without any parliamentary debate itself. Okay, so you can use this thing in your mains answers and all. Why? Because when you are using this kind of current examples, that will give you an edge over other answers. Okay. Another important thing is the disinvestment targets like LIC IPO. They were announced without prior consultation. Announced without private, so that also caused backlash. Okay, all right. So since the introduction of this GST has caused a lot of problems. GST is a very amazing thing. It is doing a wonderful thing to consolidate the economy, but still it has got a lot of issues also. Okay, so many issues related to fiscal federalism are under question, are questioned under this also. So since the introduction of this GST, growing concerns about centers fiscal dominance. So states autonomy is getting weakened. So that is also one of the major issues. And also populist pressures are also there. Populist pressures, and then government you often announce this free buys will be there, subsidies will be there, even welfare schemes will be there, and all these things will be announced close to the elections only. Why? Because people will be thinking what happened very in the recent past only. So based on that, they might get an advantage. So the governments, the executive might misuse these things. Okay, so that is also one of the major issue. And MPs across the party, they have said that they receive the budget documents only 2-3 days in advance. Okay, so when will they study the 600-700 page document? They'll be getting only 2-3 days to study. So that also, so they are left with no time to study, or maybe even they cannot even consult the experts. Even if you're an expert also, you cannot study the budget document in this very limited time period. Okay, so that's also one of the major issues. Okay, so we'll see some of the important global practices, what the other countries are doing. Okay, so this is something which is a problem in India. So if you look into the other countries, we'll be getting a lot of examples. Okay, so we'll have a quick look at other countries and how they are actually empowering this budget process and the parliament in the budgeting process. Okay, so if you take the case of United States of America, they have a congressional budget office, CBO, or a congressional budget officer. This is a completely independent body. So non-political analysis of analysis will be done by this particular body. Okay, even if I'm when I said this, stand the committees are there, like the public accounts committee, so their MPs will only be there. Okay, so there even legal experts, even economic experts are not there in that committee. So here this will be doing a non-political analysis. It will be neutral, whether it be important for the economy or not. So that only will be, they will be scrutinized. So this is something which we can study from the US system. Okay, another one is a United Kingdom. So United Kingdom, again, most of the provisions in which we are following in India, we have taken from this United Kingdom only, Britain only. Okay, so United Kingdom, how they are doing is multiple parliamentary committees are there. So multiple parliamentary committees are there. So we also have committees are there, but still they are not sufficient. They are not sufficient. So here multiple parliamentary committees are there, and here in India we have a Rajya Sabha, but Rajya Sabha is having very limited powers regarding budget. But here the similar body is the House of Lords. House of Lords. So House of Lords anyway will participate in the scrutiny of this budget. Okay, so that's also one of the things which we can introduce. Maybe we can include Rajya Sabha also in the. We can clearly include Rajya Sabha also in the budgeting process. Okay. Another very good example is Germany. Germany's parliament, Bundestag. So Bundestag is having a lot of powerful budget committees. Are there. So they have the power to negotiate and even change the budget proposal also. Okay. In India, even the MPs have no say in changing the budget proposal. Once it is done, maybe they can do a postmortem report after the entire budget has been presented. So here they can influence in changing the budget proposal itself. Okay, all right. So anyway, these countries give their MPs expert help also. That is also something which is lacking in India, and also they will be giving the document also little earlier. Okay, so that's also something which we can take from them, so that the budgeting process will be more democratic and it's more accountable also. Okay, all right. Anyway, some of the experts have suggested some reforms which we can introduce in our budgeting process, especially from the think tanks and all, like the PRS, Legislative Research and all. So they have come up with a lot of suggestions regarding this. Okay, so one is a parliamentary budget office. One is a parliamentary, so set up a parliamentary budget office. So what this budget office will be doing? So they'll be providing a neutral research will be there, more economic forecast will be given, better policy impact reports will be given. So like that way, an independent, it should not be under the influence of the executive, and it should be independent, also it should be having experts should also be there. So like that way we can create a parliamentary budget office in the lines of what you have seen in whether it be Germany or whether it be US also. Okay, another one is a structured parliament, structured pre-budget consultation should also be done. So here involve MPs also, even involve MPs, and also the standing committees can also be involved. So that also months before the budget day, not after like a post-mortem process, but even before also you can have a pre-budget consultation can be done, so that the PM, they will be knowing what the people want. So that can be easily communicated to the what the executive. Okay, so that's there. Another one, introduce a budget calendar. Budget calendar. As of now, we have a budget calendar, but it is really vague, as well as it is kind of in a secret way. Okay, so here split the process. We can actually split the process into various stages. Now also we have, but the calendar is not something which is public. It is maintaining its secrecy. Okay, so that's something which we need to do. Okay, attaching the fiscal notes. So every major proposal should include the cost benefit. It should have the cost benefit analysis, and also long term impact studies should also be there, like corporates and all, what they'll be doing. So they'll be doing this cost benefit analysis will be there, and long term impact. Okay, India is a country, maybe the budget is for a country, not for a company or something. We need to have a vision. Okay, we need to analyze what is actually the long term study. So that should also be done. And also obviously we have the existing committees are there, like standing committees are there. So give them more expert staff, more digital infrastructure should be given, and maybe give them the documents, give them more time to scrutinize the documents. So like that way, if you are giving them, then we'll be able to bring in more institutional reforms. Okay, all right. So this is what I have to say regarding this particular topic. So Parliament is supposed to represent us, we the people. Okay, but right now the problem is when it comes to this budget making. I'm saying that budget making, it's not the budget scrutinizing. Budget making, it's more the people or maybe the representatives. Okay, they are more or less spectators, and not, they don't have the power to be a decision maker or involved in being a, or give suggestions for the decision maker. So that is very much needed for India. Okay, so that's what the article is saying. All right, next article. This is related to organization, Indian Ocean Rim Association. Indian Ocean Rim Association. So India is set to chair the Indian Ocean Rim Association from this November 2025. So we'll be having 2 years chair tenure will be there. Okay, so till 2027 we'll be having the tenure. Okay, so this might seem like another diplomatic role, but for India, especially being a larger player in this Indian Ocean, it's a huge strategic opportunity. So we have to see whether India will be able to capture that opportunity. Again, coming in the bilateral and regional groupings, part of international relations in GS paper 2. Okay, all right. Question, PVQ in this regard. What are the maritime security challenges in India? Discuss the organizational, technical and procedural initiatives taken to improve the maritime security. Okay, all right. So we'll discuss regarding what is this organization, Indian Ocean Rim Association. So basically, Indian Ocean Rim Association is a regional organization which is having Indian Ocean as its background. Indian Ocean as its background. So this was started in 1997. Okay, so what is the objective of this? To bring together the countries that border the Indian Ocean. Okay, so here you can see the Indian Ocean, to bring together the countries that are bordering the Indian Ocean. So what is the purpose of that? To promote regional cooperation. We need to have more regional cooperation, more maritime security, obviously, especially when China and all is having a increased role in this Indian Ocean. So that time to increase the maritime security, and also whichever policy we are bringing, or whichever grouping which are there, will be focusing on the sustainable development also. Okay, so this is something which is very important for this. I mean, the aim of the Indian Ocean Rim Association or IORA. Okay, so regarding the membership of this Indian Ocean Rim Association, the membership is the members are 23 member countries are there. Most of the important countries in this Indian Ocean region. Okay, we're not skipping much of the countries, but almost all the countries are in the Indian bordering the Indian Ocean are part of it. Okay, India, even Australia is part of it. In this area, Australia here, UAE is part of it. South Africa is coming to South Africa is part of it. Indonesia is part of it. Kenya is part of it. Uh, this area, Bangladesh is part of it. Sri Lanka is part of it. So like that way, most of the important countries are part of the Indian Ocean Rim Association, and also we have 10 important dialogue partners are also. Okay, so 23 member countries, 10 dialogue partners. 23 members and 10 22 member countries and 10 dialogue partners are there in this Indian Ocean Rim Association. Okay, dialogue partners here also most important countries are like US is there. Okay, even though US is not part of the Indian Ocean, US is there. China is one of the participants, dialogue partners. Japan is there, Russia is there, UK, European Union. So like that way, most of the important countries are who are outside this Indian Ocean. They are part of the, they are the dialogue partners in Indian Ocean. Okay, basically this IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association, is like a club of coastal countries. Club of coastal countries. Their focus will be one, security will be there, trade will be there, and also this marine diversity or maybe the marine resources will also be there. So like that way, that is also important. Okay, all right. So now you might ask why this focus on Indian Ocean? Why we have to focus on Indian Ocean? Okay, so why we need to take this specific region? There must be some common issues which we are facing in this particular region. So that is why we are taking this, right? Or maybe economic reasons also. Okay, so we'll discuss what is the strategic importance of this Indian Ocean region. One, it is handling 75% of the global trade, global maritime trade. 75% of the global maritime trade is coming through this area only, and 50% of the global daily oil movement, 50% of the world's daily oil movement shipment passes through this particular Indian Ocean region only. And it's a having a India is one of the most populous country, and if you take Indonesia or maybe that region also, that there also the population is very high. Okay, so it is home to 2 billion people. It's one of the, that's also in the percentage way it's a very huge amount. Okay, so it's home to over 2 billion people, and it generates nearly 1 trillion worth of goods and services every year. Okay, so this is a every year statistics. So 1 trillion every year. Okay, so that is worth of goods and services are there in Indian Ocean region. Okay, if you take the recent statistics, maybe 2023 statistics, the trade hit $800 billion. The trade hit $800 billion. Okay, $800 billion. So that was a trade in one single year. That's some compared to the other areas and all. That's very huge. Okay, very huge. And even we have the diversity in trade also, like fisheries are there, like that many important trade is happening through this area. Okay, so why this membership matters for India? Why this membership matters for India? Because India can target this blue economy. Blue economy is something which is focusing on the ocean trade. Okay, fisheries are there, shipping routes are there. So we will be, as of now, we'll have the chairmanship of something which is having the entire group. Okay, so that is very important. And also why it is, what are the India's priorities as the Indian Ocean Rim Association chair? One, will be able to mobilize the resources. We'll be able to mobilize the resources. So India is actually planning to bring in more players, for example, like private players also. Okay, so as of now, this is something which is happening only in the government level. Okay, so we need more private players, especially in areas like shipping, maritime tourism is also something which, and also now everything is sustainable development. So we are going with clean energy companies. So that is also something which is very much important, and private players can contribute a lot in these areas also. Okay, so as of now, the problem is this IORA is underfunded. It is underfunded. So if more players are coming, or maybe more private players are coming, we'll be able to get in more funding, and also the countries are also having various financial background, like the countries like Bangladesh, Kenya, so they are having a different financial background. The UAE, Singapore, so they are having a different background. So India will be able to, India is having good relation with everyone, so we'll be able to ensure that all these countries' needs are getting catered. Okay, another one is the technological and the governance. Okay, technological integration. So again, here also India is one of the market leaders. So India wants to introduce better digital tools. As of now, also we know, right, the UPA and all. India is one of the leading leaders in this UPA kind of technology. So India wants to introduce more digital tools so that this IORA region can function together. Even data collection is also very important. Another important thing is this region is very much infamous for their like disaster vulnerability, like cyclones and all is there. So for that also we need more money, and India will be able to pool everything like disaster alerts. Even ISRO is one of the most important players in this space technology, so they'll also be able to contribute in that. Okay, another one is skill development and research collaboration. India is a service economy. Okay, we have a lot of people, I mean experts in these areas like governance, ocean governance, economic studies and all. We have a scientist academia. So in this, India is a very rich country. Okay, and also we have a lot of academia is also growing, so students, researchers, so they can work on real world problems, and they can also contribute to the sustainable economy, coastal security, and all these things can also be done. For example, if IIT Madras working with coastal fishing communities, so they'll be able to build affordable GPS tools, and maybe they'll be able to give in more disaster, I mean like disaster warning, affordable disaster warning, or maybe real-time disaster updates they can be able to keep. So like this way also we can, there is a possibility. Okay, so that's also there. Now we have a lot of opportunities for regional collaboration also with other countries. We have a opportunity. Why? Because different, like I've said, different countries have different sort of expertise. So India will be able to bridge all these things. Australia, France, and Singapore, they have the technological expertise in this marine side, and we have the small states are like Seychelles is part of it, Mauritius is part of it, Sri Lanka is part of it. So they will be able to offer the traditional knowledge. They have this traditional knowledge about the ocean system, and we have the diversity of people, diversity of occupations are there. That also we can, because they are coastal states only. So that knowledge also we can use it. Okay, if you take richer countries like UAE, Oman, they can have investment in infrastructure. UAE and all, if you say, their infrastructure investment is very huge. Okay, so now they can focus on the marine investment also. So like the different countries with different expertise or different financial background can cooperate in a way, and India can actually bridge, act as a bridge between this cooperation. So there is a huge potential for cooperation in various areas, whether it be disaster management, fisheries, blue economy, marine technology, or maybe clean energy. So like that way we have different opportunities are there. Okay. All right. So even though this is an issue, we are having some issues also. For example, limited budget. I've already mentioned we are underfunded. So we need to look for more opportunity, like private sector involvement and all. We need to look for. Okay, and also we have weak institutional capacity. So the headquarters of this, or maybe the secretariat of this IORA is located in Mauritius. So Mauritius is an area which is not able to provide the staff infrastructure or something. So that is also one of the major things which is hampering the growth of this. And also we have security threats are also there. Security threat, for example, the piracy issue, Indian Ocean, especially in this African part of this Indian Ocean, piracy is there, terrorism is there, illegal trafficking and drug trafficking, human trafficking. So that's also there, and also like I've said, natural disasters. So that's also one of the important problems which you are having. Okay, and lack of great power investment. Power investment is something which is very much important for in this present scenario. So that is also needed. So we need to have cooperation with larger players, like who are outside the IOR also. For example, like dialogue partners like US, China, EU. So we need to we need to make sure that they are also deeply involved in this cooperation. Okay, all right. Anyway, India's chairmanship, this IORA is a chance to lead, reform, and even connect the region, and India can act as a bridge between all these parties. Okay. All right, moving on to next topic. This is related to the NIRF ranking. NIRF ranking. So recently, this Madras High Court has put a stop to the release of NIRF ranking. Okay, Madras High Court said no need to release the NIRF ranking. So because of a case that says that these rankings are may be misleading to the students. Okay, so this is actually a very big deal because NIRF rankings are the most widely and even officially used ranking system in India. So if something is not proper about this NIRF, means that will be affecting the entire academia community itself. Okay, so that's a very important thing. So we'll be discussing what is this NIRF, how it is calculated, all these things we'll be discussing here. Okay, previous year question in this regard. In this also related to some other ranking only, ease of doing business ranking only. So who is actually declaring the ranking? Okay. All right. So what does this NIRF? NIRF mean? NIRF means National Institutional Ranking Framework. National Institutional Ranking Framework. So this is something which was launched in 2015. 2015 by Ministry of Education. By it was launched by the Ministry of Education. Okay, it was launched by the Ministry of Education in 2015. Okay, earlier called as a Ministry of Human Rights, MHRD. Okay, so what was the purpose? To rank the colleges and universities, that is higher education institutions. Higher education institutions like universities, colleges. So like that way, research institutions. So like that way, higher education institutions will be ranked. Okay. In 2018, what they did is they made this compulsory for all the government run educational institutes. Okay. Earlier it was started not as a compulsory thing, but for that the people will be knowing. So now in 2018, what they did, the MHRD or maybe the government, they did made it compulsory. Made it compulsory for all the government colleges and universities. Okay. So that are all of them are required to participate in this NIRF process. Okay. So how does this NIRF rank this institution? There should be some criteria, right? So this is actually the methodology which NIRF is using. These are the methodology. So they have 5 key parameters to give the ranking. So based on this 5 key parameters and based on, they have a weightage also. So 5 key parameters and weightage. So based on that only this university or maybe the higher education institutions are ranked. Okay, one is teaching, learning and resources. Teaching, learning and resources in that particular institutions. There they have a 30% weightage. They have a 30% weightage in that. Another one, research and professional practice. So there also they have a 30% weightage in that also. Graduation outcomes, whether they are how many are getting graduated. Okay, graduation outcome, that is also considered. So that is 20%. Outreach and inclusivity, whether outreach is working or people are, it is an inclusive institution, so that is also having 10% weightage. And perception among others, so that's also having 10% weightage. So based on this only the NIRF rank, these are the 5 parameters in which this NIRF ranking is done. Okay, and in different categories are, these parameters are done in different categories. For example, overall they will be ranking, overall national ranking will be there. Okay, other than that, universities, individually universities will be having a ranking will be there. Okay, engineering and engineering colleges will be there, management, medical colleges will be there, management colleges will be there, pharmacy, law, architecture. So like that way, there are 11 different categories, and 5 different parameters to rank this. Okay, so my point is, when you hear that IIT Madras is ranked 1 in engineering, or maybe IISc Bangalore is ranked 1 overall, so that's based on this NIRF. Okay, maybe you might have heard these things. This is a rank of the college. So what rank is this? It is a NIRF rank. Okay, so what was why the court has to step in now? So why the person has to file the case? That will be discussing. Okay, so what was the issue here? A public interest litigation was filed by a resident of Tamil Nadu. A Tamil Nadu resident, he has claimed that NIRF rankings, the NIRF rankings are misleading to the students. Okay, it is not reflecting the exact things, it is misleading. So, what are the concerns he has raised? One, there is no data verification. No data verification means institutions upload their own data on the students' rank. For example, they can fake it also. Okay, students' rank, salaries, placements, research, but no one will, no organization, NIRF rank is that they can upload this. They can upload this, and based on that, they are supposed to upload only the true data, but who knows that whether they are uploading the true data only. So, there is no provision to cross check this. Okay, as of now, there is no provision to cross check this. So, that is one of the argument which is saying. Another one is no auditing process. No auditing. Unlike we have other institutions are there, for example, like NAAC things are there, but other than that, unlike that, NIRF does not having any on ground auditing is not there for this NIRF. Okay, so NAAC is something different. NAAC they send expert committee. They send experts committee to the campus, and it reviews actual documents. So if the actual documents are, so they'll be reviewing this, and they'll be cross checking whether this is correct. So based on that only they'll be giving the ranking. So here that kind of ranking, that kind of cross checking is not there. So that is also one of the important things. If a college could say that it placed maybe 95% of the students, and even their salary was also maybe more than 10 lakh, but no one checks whether that claim is real. So this is a major issue. So what the court said is like, stop releasing the rankings until the issue is sorted. Okay, so this is what the court said regarding this particular thing. Okay, all right. So this is actually the thing which I have already mentioned. So this is the weightage NIRF ranking parameters. This is the latest data 2024. So teaching and learning will be having 0.3% weighted at 30% weightage. Research and professional practice will be having 30% weightage. Graduation outcome will be 20%. Outreach and inclusivity will be 10%, and perception will be 10%. Again, here inside this also individual parameters are there. For example, student strength, faculty student ratio, faculty with PhD. So like that way, there are many subcategories are also there. Okay, but mainly these are the 5 parameters. These are the major 5 parameters which we are taking into consideration. Okay, all right. Moving on to next topic related to food. Okay, again this is also very important topic which was making uh, rounds recently. So this is related to the progress which you have made in the related to the GM crops. Okay, so GM crops. So here we will be discussing some basic data related to prelims. What are the GM crops? Now what is the issue with the GM crops? So like that the court has court has called for a new GM policy, and so like that some of the important facts related to this we'll be discussing in this. Okay, all right. The prelims previous year question from 2018, this is related to GM mustard. Okay, GM mustard. So like that way we have different GM crops are there. Some approvals are under pending, some we have already released. That will be discussing here. So what is the context? The low contribution of bioagriculture to India's bioeconomy despite the potential of GM crops raises question about the challenges in their adoption. Okay, so here we will be mostly focusing on the static area. What is the GM crops and what are the issues with this? Okay, so GM crops means genetically modified crops. Okay, so this GM crops are created using a process known as genome editing. Process known as genome editing. It's a biotechnology, genome editing. So here what the scientists will be doing, they can either add, they can either remove, or they can alter the genes. Okay, so they can add, remove, or alter the genes. So that is why it is known as genome editing. Genes. Okay, so that is why this process is known as genome editing. So why we are doing this? So this is done to give the crops new traits. For example, if we edit this genome, the crops will be pest resistant. Sometimes it will be pest resistance will be there, or maybe sometimes it will have better drought tolerance will be there, or maybe it will be giving a better yield, or maybe the growth will be faster. So like that way, it will be giving that particular crop a specific property which is which will be helping the farmers as well as economy also. Okay, for example, take GM brinjal. So GM brinjal is said to have resist some of the important harmful insects. So pest resistance is there. So that what is the advantage of that? We need not use any pesticide. So without pesticide itself, they'll be able to resist the pest. So that is a thing. So that is one of the important benefits of this GM mustard. Okay, so we'll see what are the general benefit of it. One of them I've already mentioned. So that is less usage of pesticides. So BT cotton is also like that. BT cotton also produce their own toxin. Okay, so BT cotton produce their own toxin that will be automatically killing the pests which are mostly attacking the like bollworm and all will be mostly attacking, and that will be automatically killed. Okay, another one is higher yield. So they resist the diseases. They resist the disease and even insects. So obviously the yield will be better. Okay, soil health is also one of the important factors. So herbicide tolerant crops. So that reduce the need for soil tilling. So again, soil tilling means time is also wasted and also even the resources are also wasted. So like that way we can avoid the soil tilling also. And these crops mostly they are climate ready also. So they can have survive this disasters like flooding. They can survive this drought, or maybe this heat waves are coming. So extreme heat also they'll be able to now they'll be able to resist. Okay, so these are some of the things. Okay, so in a world facing climate change and food security, these traits can be game changers. So that is why we need to push these GM crops. So this is one argument, and also they have other argument also, like this is something which is not to be allowed. That is also there. Okay, so what does India stand here? What is the India's current statistics in this GM crops? Every country will be having their own uh, statistics will be. Some GM crops will be legal in one country, some won't be allowed in one country. Okay, in India as of now we have only approved this GM crop BT cotton. BT cotton is the only GM crop which we have approved in. This was introduced in 2002. Okay, so it became quite popular. It helped the farmers fight the bollworm pest. Okay, help fight the bollworm pest. So it gave pest resistance to them, because cotton is something which is highly affected by this pest. Okay, other than that we have introduced something known as BT mustard. BT mustard. So but that had some controversy with it, and it was not approved. Okay, so that is also one of the reason. We'll see who is approving all these things. We'll be seeing here. So these are some of the acts in which this GM crops are regulated in India. One is the Environment Protection Act of 1986, Biodiversity Act of 2002, Plant Quarantine Order of 2003, GM Policy under Foreign Trade Policy, Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006, and Drugs and Cosmetic Rule of 8th Amendment 1998. Okay, so these are some of the important acts or the legal provisions which are regulating the GM crops in India. Okay. Alright, so what is the regulatory framework in India? Mostly it is regulated by the Environment Protection Act of 1986. So based on that, we have formulated a committee known as the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, or the GEAC. Okay, but almost immediately when this GM mustard thing came, so at that time this activist groups came. So they took the court to Supreme Court. They took the court to Supreme Court, and that halted all the trials. Okay, so after many trials only we can actually bring it to the market. So that halted the trial. So why this opposition? We have already said it will be giving high, the yield will be there, it will be resisting the pest, all the things we have mentioned it. But why this, amidst all these things, why this opposition is happening? Okay, so one, it is because of the biodiversity risk. Okay, so critics are worrying that GM crops may cross-pollinate. So cross-pollinate means entire biodiversity will be affected. So that's one thing. Another one, if something which is BT cotton anyway we are not going to eat. So if there is something with mustard or maybe brinjal or something is coming, some people are fearing that long-term impacts on human health is also, not just human health, even animal health is also there. So that is why this edible GM crops are mostly not approved. Okay, another one, contamination, fear of contamination is also there. So one, this GM crops are introduced, they could mix with non-GM variety. Okay, so something which we cannot control might come up. Okay, so that is also there, and also ethical concerns are also there. Some say we are tampering with the nature. Okay, we are creating something new. For example, you might have seen the movie Jurassic Park and also something which have already got extinct by nature. So why we are bringing it back? So like that way, that argument is also going in. Okay, so now Supreme Court is reviewing this matter and has asked the government to form a national policy through consultation. Okay, so this is where India is actually standing in case of this GM crops. Okay, all right. So anyway, we have already have a policy known as Bio-E3 policy. Bio-E3 policy we have brought in. So this is actually focusing on eco-friendly. This is actually focusing on the eco-friendly biomanufacturing and bio-based chemicals are also bringing in this. Okay, and also it will be bringing sustainability and circular economy goals will also be met in this, and it will be helping India to move towards a net zero emission. Okay, net zero emission, that's also very important regarding whether it be our Paris climate goals or whether it be our climate friendly agriculture. So all these things, this is also very much important. Okay. All right, so these are the 4 topics which I've taken for today's discussion. Now let's move to the mains practice question. Okay, mains practice question. So Indian Parliament has become a mere approver in budgetary affairs rather than a deliberative authority. Critically examine the statement in the context of constitutional framework and current practice. So here you can introduce with what is the importance of this budget and how Parliament is also needed in this consultation. Okay? Like that we can introduce, and also you can bring in some important articles also. We have already discussed what is a constitutional framework for that. We have discussed that. In the body, you can write constitutional role of Parliament in budgeting, like standing committees, all these things you can mention here. Current practices, like the examples you can quote, like the only 10% of the entire budget has been discussed. So like that way you can quote it, and what are the consequences. So basically Parliament is becoming powerless means people are becoming powerless. So like that way you can say what are the consequences and challenges. Okay, and finally you can give a way forward. Like many of the committees have said to propose a pre-budget consultations, pre-budget, and also making the standing committee stronger, even providing better infrastructure, like providing better staff, better experts in this region. So like that we also we can bring in something. Okay, and finally you can conclude it saying that we need to restore the Parliament as a important deliberator in this budgeting process. Okay. All right, moving on to prelims practice questions. So these are the prelims practice questions of yesterday's daily news analysis. Okay, so today's daily news prelims practice questions will be discussed in Monday's daily news analysis. Okay, so this is a prelims practice question. So with reference to Armed Forces Special Powers Act, AFSPA. Okay, AFSPA, consider the following statement. AFSPA provides immunity to armed force personnel from prosecution without prior sanction of the central government. Okay, so this is basically correct only. Declaration of an area as disturbed under AFSPA. Yeah, this is correct. Declaration of an area as disturbed under AFSPA is made solely by the President of India. Okay, it's not solely by the President of India. Many other entities are also there. Like the governor of the state will be coming, the administrator of the union territory. So like that way, many other people are also consulted in this. Okay, right, so this is wrong. Supreme Court in the Naga People's Movement of Human Rights struck down the AFSPA as unconstitutional. Okay, it was not done. It didn't struck down. Okay, so basically it upheld the validity of the AFSPA. Okay, so correct answer is this is wrong. This is wrong. This is correct. So correct answer is one only. One only is the right answer. Okay. All right. Moving on to next question. So with reference to Competition Commission of India, consider the following statement. CCI functions as a quasi-judicial body. CCI functions as a quasi-judicial body. Another one, second statement, CCI was constituted in 2009 on the recommendation of the Rangarajan committee. Okay, based on the Rangarajan committee. So first one is correct. Second one, CCI is composed of 1 chairperson and 6 members appointed by the central government. Okay, so these are the 3 statements related to this. Okay, statement 1 is correct. Statement 1 is correct. CCA functions as a quasi-judicial body only. Okay, statement 2 is incorrect. Why? Because CCA is consulted based on Raghavan committee and not Rengarajan committee. Rengarajan committee is related to finance only. Statement 3 is also correct. CCA comprises 1 chairperson and 6 members will be there. Okay, appointed by the central government. All right, next one. Related to the inflation migration nexus with reference to regional inflation trends in India as highlighted by the recent economic analysis, consider the following statement. Southern states are experiencing persistently high inflation, particularly in essential food items like vegetables and cereal. This is something which is very important for the mains perspective also. It is very important. Okay, so this is correct. This is correct based on the SBI one report was there. It was released yesterday. So based on this is correct. Migration from low income to high income states have no significant impact on inflation trends. No, it is having very huge significant impact on the inflation trends. Basically, this statement is wrong. Higher state level taxes in South contribute to elevated cost of living and inflation. This is correct, especially related to the case of Kerala and all, the inflation rate is increasing. Okay, so correct answer is 1 and 3. Correct answer is 1 and 3. Okay. All right. So these are the prelims practice questions of yesterday's daily news analysis. So these are the prelims practice questions of today's daily news analysis. So what you can do is you can go to our website navigator.narayanias.com. So there we have a daily quiz tab will be there. So open that tab and you'll be getting all these questions there. You can answer it there itself and you'll be getting the result also. Okay. So 3 questions are there from 3 topics which you have, 3 prelims topics which you have discussed today. Okay. Again, in the beginning of the session, I have shown you one. Today is World Water Day. So obviously, I have shown you a question related to the theme of World Water Day. So what is the theme of World Water Day? You might have already commented it in the comment box. Okay. So what is the theme of World Water Day 2025? Clean ocean, safe drinking water, glacier preservation, and water recycling. Okay. So the correct answer is 2025 theme is glacier preservation. So here we want to emphasize on the critical role glaciers play in global water cycle and their vulnerability to the climate change. So let's save glaciers before they make a cool exit, because otherwise someday we'll also be gone because of all these things. So save water, don't waste water. Thank you.